Welcome to Evil Popcorn. We are here at Evilcorp. Shout out to Evilcorp, the haunted attraction horror maze that myself and Jackyl here work at. And thank you to them and thank you to you all. I'll get you to introduce yourself in a moment for joining me here to talk about a very exciting film. But yes, for those who do not know me, yes, welcome to Evil Popcorn, official episode number 1. My name is Mr. Popcorn, the Colonel from Down Under. Let's get it popping.
Hello. I'm your resident Scream Queen here, representing those of us that still watch scary movies peeking through their fingers.
I'm Jackyl. I am very much like cinema popcorn butter, and I'm a hazard to everyone's health here in the room.
And I'm the Baron. I'm the microwave popcorn of the podcasting world.
I like it.
Give the bag a shake after it's done.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so yes, what we are doing for the first official episode of Evil Popcorn, it is timely, it was written in the stars. Talk to Me has been released all around the globe and is making great waves, and it's Australian. So, of course, we have to cover it for the first one.
Bloody beauty, mate.
Yes, now, great film, yeah. Myself and Jackyl here to my right saw it last night. Definitely want to see it again, but we'll go into what everyone thought, just general impressions. Okay, Scream Queen.
Scream Queen, go with
Just general impressions without getting into it too much. What did you think?
I really loved it. I feel like that's the general impression from all of us. I thought it was technically very, very good. It was very hard hitting. It was very intense. I feel like I had a very visceral reaction to that movie. I don't know if I could do a second watch. Is how I feel. Like, I loved it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't watch it again. It has been my general review to everyone. It was just like, I think I only watched half the movie because I spent the other half like inside my jumper, like leaning into the chair. And look, I'm very like, I used to be very desensitized, like watching horror like very consistently, and I feel like I've had a little bit of a dry spell, and now I'm like back at watching them again. I'm like, oh, these are a lot. These are very intense. I feel like that especially was very, it hits you right in the face in the first like 30 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. Baron, what did you think, general impressions?
Look, I love a good horror film. I've been told that my taste in movies is somewhat south of the belt. I've been told that I've got fairly bad taste in movies, but this really wasn't one of those sort of love it because you hate it bad movies. It's beautifully made. Love that it's Australian. For such a low-budget film, you can see more than the money they spent on screen. I would happily purchase this on physical media. I would happily watch it on streaming again.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Jackyl?
I very much agree with Scream Queen that it has a very different hit. It vibes very differently. Coming back to post-pandemic horror, they have a very different vibe. It's no longer the jump scare that they rely on, especially with not mainstream, the Insidious series it's just finishing now. It relies on that very base level vibe of terror, which was very lovely to see in a cinema. It was very good. I think we can all agree it was very good. Yep. Very technically good, like Scream Queen said. It did not feel like an Australian film. Apart from a few shots of local flora and fauna, it was a standout film that I can see winning on some awards.
What about you, Mr. Popcorn?
Yeah, no, I generally liked it. Absolutely, I thought it was very, very good. Certainly for a first film, this is a debut feature. I didn't feel Australian. It felt Australian, but not like an Australian film that we all have cultural cringe over, which I personally was really pleased about. It wasn't what I expected. I did expect a jump scare fest, because it is essentially about a cursed object. It's a movie dealing with possession. and we've all seen a lot of them. Yeah, it's been done a lot. This is a very original, unique take, which we will go into, and I really appreciated the original, unique take. It dealt a lot with atmospherics and creepiness to create the fear, the scare, the dread, even, if you will, which I do personally prefer. I think it's more skilled, and I think it's more engaging. And I wasn't expecting to have the heavy psychological vibe after walking out of the cinema, because we could barely speak.
Yeah. I walking on being like, that was something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I definitely needed to decompress after I'd watched it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But talk to me. It is a 2022 Australian supernatural horror film. It's done all the circuits now and all the festivals, and it is directed by Danny and Michael Philippou. Yeah.
Sorry, Danny, Michael.
Sorry. I had never heard of them as the YouTube sensations at the RackaRacka. I believe they're just commonly called RackaRacka. Have you guys watched their YouTube channel?
Yes.
No, I have not.
What have you seen, Scott, on the
I've had a little bit of a look recently since I saw the film, just to have a look at some of the wrestling stuff. I like it. It's now in my algorithm. So it's. I went to put some music on, some YouTube music on at work today while I was doing some data entry, and it kept popping over to their channel. And it's like, no, I need 80s tunes. I need 80s tunes, not your indie YouTube content.
Yeah. But if you haven't checked them out, do check them out. They do. It's very horror, comedy, action. They like to beat each other up a lot and like to break lots of furniture. Scott mentioned wrestling. Yes, they are Biz fans. They're definitely wrestling fans. They've been making films and beating each other up since they were about 9 years old in Adelaide. And I watched two of them. One of them was Ronald McDonald slaughters a bunch of children.
Yes, I read about the Ronald McDonald content.
I saw a stunt from one of the interviews that they just kind of included it in it. They're intense. They dropped this Ronald McDonald from a very high height.
Yeah. No, their stunts are for real. Their stunts are legit. Their gore's legit. Like in this Ronald McDonald one, like he pulls out a kid's tongue and then starts eating it. I was like, okay.
Maybe I will
So
watch it.
be careful who you show this.
So, there's some good stuff there.
Yeah. And the wrestling was great. It was a backyard hardcore wrestling death match, and there was barbed wire. They were body slamming each other into beds of nails.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, the film's not surprising. It's not a big leap.
Yes. Yes. How they pull off some of the stunts in this, and the ferocity of the stunts. Yeah. So they know what they're doing in that sense. They very much have always liked horror films as well, and they decided to make the leap into making a feature film. And and they did really, really well with it. I watched this very moving little YouTube video where they went to Sundance, then being accepted into Sundance Film Festival, and them all freaking out and getting very happy, as anyone would, any young aspiring filmmaker would. And it was especially moving. Like a whole bunch of film companies were at Sundance. They all loved the film. There was a bidding war between all of these companies. Everyone on the A24 panel, they all said yes unanimously that they want it, and they won the bidding war. And so you saw in this video them being accepted, being a distribution deal with A24. Which is berserk.
I'd like to note that A24 is one of the few distribution companies who have met the guidelines and demands of SAG-AFTRA.
Yep.
And so they are allowed to keep producing films throughout this writer's strike. So good for them. Love that. So that is why we were able to get that distributed worldwide this July.
Yeah, precisely. With the strikes going on, yes, we like A24. And if you don't know A24, Hereditary. Yes. Midsummer. Beau is Afraid. Every Ari Aster.
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Every Eggers.
Yep.
Yeah. So they're I won't say elevated horror because screw that term. It's demeaning. This psychological horror, slow burn horror. Basically, it's stuff that pushes the boundaries and expands the boundaries of where horror can go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, we have seen it and we are going to cover it. Is there any other background information anyone has that they want to share?
Well, do we want to go through some technical information?
Yeah, let's do that before we go into the plot, yeah?
So I've got here the main cast. We have Sophie Wilde as Mia, Alexandra Jensen as Jade, her best friend, Joe Bird as Riley, the best friend's little brother, Miranda Otto as Sue, the best friend's mother, who, a performance, great.
Oh,
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, amazing.
I've heard people say that they're going to go see the film just to see her, because they love her.
Really?
Really, really, yeah.
That's cool.
Zoe Terekas as Hayley, and Chris Olosio as Joss, the owner of the hand. Those last two, I'm very sorry if I got your names wrong. The directors again, Danny and Michael Philippou. Written by Danny Philippou, Bill Hinsman, and it's based on a concept by Daley Pearson.
Yes.
I would like to throw in a trivia that Daley Pearson is a producer on Bluey.
Yeah.
Yes. They
Amazing.
all have a dark side to them on Bluey. I love it. It's got 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's again a very small budget compared to other bigger horror films. 4.5 mil.
Yeah, I thought it was 4.
The USA box office comes in as 10.4 mil.
Okay, when was it released? Do we know?
July 20 something.
Yeah,
27th?
okay. Yeah, okay.
Was
So
it
3
worldwide?
weeks
I
ago.
think it's second to Hereditary as A24's highest grossing film. Yeah.
And that's only the US box office.
I
So
think
the
it's-
numbers have yet to be finalised.
I think it's only had a 19% drop in the 3 weeks.
This does have an R rating.
Yes.
Not
Yeah, so
surprised.
don't take the kids.
Yeah, don't take the children.
This is an American R rating as well, yes?
Yeah.
I'd also like to preface that the dog is fine.
Yes.
You do see the dog in the trailer, it's fine.
Yeah, the dog doesn't die.
People were freaked out about that, weren't they, in the trailer?
Oh, absolutely. You see a dog and you're like, oh.
As soon as the movie started, I was like, oh, I should have looked this up on doesthedogdie.com.
Yeah.
There is some horror with a kangaroo, but it's not a real kangaroo. So,
Okay.
Oh, excellent animatronics on the kangaroo too, by the way.
excellent.
I thought it was real.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
The later appearance of the kangaroo is an actual
Yeah.
but the initial shot completely animatronic. Very, very good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing
These
work.
boys are a big fan of Werewolf in London, and they base a lot of their special effects on that standard.
Oh,
So it's not surprising that they pulled off some really great special effects.
actually, that explains that road scene with the kangaroo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
So good job, Danny and Michael.
Yeah, absolutely.
You fooled the evil popcorn. So
They were actually crew hands on the Babadook. Like they worked behind the scenes on a lot of local movies and the Babadook, and so that's how they had a relationship with the company that produced. I can't remember the name of the.
Is that Causeway?
Yes, Causeway. Yes. So they already had that relationship because they had worked behind the scenes of the Babadook, which I thought was a fun little fact.
Australia effect, right?
Yes.
There's 3 people in the booth.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the only Australian horror.
And the Babadook's great in my opinion
I
as
love-
well. So
I
shout
love
out
that
Causeway Films for making this happen.
And some spectacular makeup effects from MEG. There will be a group to watch coming up as well. MEG.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. The sound design was absolutely incredible in this.
Crisp,
So
Yeah.
just
relentless in all the right ways.
Yes.
There's scenes where it does not let up at all. Just it really, it assaulted you in a good way. I feel like.
yes.
I'm sure we'll talk about those specific scenes later.
Yes.
Though.
Yeah. Okay. If there's nothing else, shall we just get into the plot? And then if you have anything to bring up at any point, I don't know, shout out pop. Okay. All right, so a young man, Cole, stumbles through a crowded house party. This is the very beginning, the cold open, as he attempts to locate his brother Duckett, who has locked himself in a bedroom. Cole breaks, so this is very much a standard teenage party. It's loud, it's raucous.
I don't know that I'd call it a standard teenage party. Like, how many people here knows 400 teenagers?
No, look, that is pretty standard in a small community. If you, I went to a few house parties in Esk. Every
okay.
teenager was, I'm sorry, but that is standard.
Okay.
Very authentically
Yeah.
Australian.
But there was a lot of people at that party.
Absolutely,
It was
yeah.
busy, but
Because it's like the 3 surrounding high schools, the text goes out, especially with social media.
Yeah, okay,
They all
okay.
get out on Snapchat, they rock up, they turn up. They had, at the house party, there was the pool, so you had like the bikini babes there as well. Everyone has their zones. You had the frazzled host like in the kitchen, like chopping up like carrot sticks and stuff to like nibble plates and stuff in the beginning. It was like, this is not needed, babe. Everyone's fine. No, that for like modern experience.
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah. No. I'm old. I am old.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I thought the greys were just for effect. No,
Nice.
modern house party standards. It was very realistic, very
Okay,
authentic.
okay.
I was like, wow, we're in Australia.
Yeah.
I was
Especially
like, this is Australian.
Him on the phone being like, I can see the messages going through. You're definitely getting it, you bastard. Like that was peak.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Was this shot in Adelaide?
Yes.
It is shot in Adelaide. Okay, so we're at a teenage party in Adelaide. Cole breaks down the door because Duckett has locked himself in the bedroom and retrieves injured Duckett before taking him into the living room. Duckett doesn't look well at this stage.
Scratches.
Yeah,
like-
pale, like the corpse blue.
Very nice bruising on the back, like that opening shot where the door breaks down and the camera pans in and there's all those really dark bruised scratches on the back was really
Absolutely.
good opening for the vibe of this film.
And when his brother was breaking down the door, again, okay, there's some of that stunt work.
Yeah.
That WWE.
Yeah, absolutely. He takes Duckett into the living room where Duckett stabs his brother in the chest, which was shocking enough,
Oh my God.
which was shocking enough. But then he goes outside to where the pool is and we can see him through the glass screen doors, and then all of a sudden, I think he gets himself in the eye.
He does.
It's like that, bang, boom, straight in the eye.
The actor, amazing, does not flinch as it comes up to his face. It's all shot in a sort of backlit shadow as well, which is a common theme throughout the film with the lighting. It's a beautiful technique because you don't have to see their faces to know the terror that's going on. It's the reactions around. Everyone, notably, again, throughout the film, is filming everything on their cameras.
Yeah, that's a theme throughout.
Absolutely, because that is a modern theme with youth, is that they will get their phone out any chance they get to try and film something controversial.
So
that was
Death 1 and Death 2 in the cold open before the credits.
And that talking about the sound design, like you see Cole walk into the kitchen. You have his mother, I assume, slicing up the snacks. You hear her knife so crisp, cutting up, I don't know, oranges. It just goes, shh. And then it's like, you're like, what is going to happen? You're like, oh, it's just like immediately like that sound of the knife. You're like, what is going to happen?
the thunk of it sinking into the torso and then the face. Yeah, absolutely. And great acting from all the people at the party as well.
Yeah, totally believe they'd just seen someone get stabbed in the face.
Yeah,
Absolutely, because it's not that scream straight away. It's actually, you can see their brains working, trying to figure out what just happened, what they're looking at.
The pause, the process, and then just the complete terror and the scattering.
Yep.
It was brilliant.
And even the brother like holding him, being like, put your phones away, like put your phones at everyone. I was just like, oh, like it just was like, it was so intense. Straight when it happened in the cinema, I don't know if there was a similar reaction from the crowd you were in, but everyone was just like everyone gasped at the same time. Yeah, like it was like everyone as soon as you just shk, and everyone was like their reaction, everyone just pulled back. It was crazy. Yeah,
Great opening.
It really sets the tone for the rest of how the series is going to be.
Yeah. And like a good sort of precursor to what like the lore of the film is without being like, this is someone explaining what this is. Yeah,
Not American. Oops.
exactly. Yeah.
Meanwhile, 17-year-old Mia, that's Sophie Wilde. Yes, who was great.
Brilliant actress.
Is struggling with the second anniversary of her mother Rhea's suicide. Mia and Rhea, very cute. Also, our house cat is called Mia. That's an aside.
Nothing good ever happens on the anniversary of a close family member's death.
Absolutely.
No good choices can be made.
And then obviously that is then continued on the lore.
Yeah.
With the conclusion of everything as well. So
Nicely circled.
yeah. I can see this becoming like a lore in the town. That's what I kept thinking is like, how is the town going to go on after all of this?
Well, I've got something on that for after, for near the end, yeah.
I'm excited.
Sorry. It was the second anniversary of her mother Ria's suicide and her distant relationship with her father Max. Mia, her best friend Jade, and Jade's little brother Riley sneak out to a house party hosted by Haley and Joss, where the main attraction is the severed, embalmed hand of a powerful medium, which they use to conjure spirits by lighting a candle and saying the phrase, "Talk to me," before proceeding to say, "I let you in for full possession," and blowing out the candle once 90 seconds has passed. So that's the ritual, that's the cursed object, yes?
So the cursed object, it's not even specifically a medium or a psychic's hand. It's contested in the movie as well. It's like, at one point they say it's a Satanist's hand, and this other hand is out there wandering around still. So I love that there wasn't that strict law with the hand.
And I feel like, again, reading interviews, I feel like that was very intentional from them, because everything, they want it to be very, like, be able to be interpreted however you like. And it's this sort of idea of these whispers that have passed down from different people. Everyone's story has sort of shifted in the slightest as this hand has gone from person to person. They have this like very...
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, they have this very like dense...
Chinese whispers.
Yeah, that's exactly what they said. They have this very like deep mythology of like who has owned this hand and like what stories did they tell about it and like how has that shifted like as it's just sort of like filtered down.
And even the different writing on the hand denotes the different owners. There was some Farsi, like Indo-Persian script on it. There was English words. The backpack that it comes in, I don't think was like their backpack.
No.
I think it was handed to them in the backpack. It's got writing and stuff all over it. It's got like drawn skulls all over it. It's very much a lore built on its own, passing through people.
So do you think that's where the rules come from reading the hand and reading the bag?
Yeah, and I think they were even saying like none of the rules are like set in stone. Like it's just what they have like heard.
Yeah. So this is an example of demonic trial and error.
Yes, exactly. They're like this is what we've been told. Like I'm sure that's accurate. I'm sure that's fine.
I mean, it's not like it's Gremlins where you get given 3 hard and fast rules at the start of the film.
And speaking of the hard and fast rules, just for those listening, watching, with the 90 seconds, they have to light a candle. But to basically it's like a circle of salt. Yeah, you do that before a ritual to keep the demon in. To open the door,
Except they didn't do a circle of salt, which I feel like maybe would have helped.
Maybe. Once the hand's taken away, they quickly blow out the light. Yeah, and then the 90 seconds is the amount of time that they can handle the demon, keep it inside before it goes into others.
Yeah, or it'll take hold of them.
It will take hold of them as well. Yes, it will take hold. Yeah.
I have theories about that, but I think you wanted to say something.
Yeah, please.
I'll have a discussion with that later. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what do we think about though? Like, everyone is filming this. Yeah, at the party, everyone having turns being possessed, and they seem to it reminded me of like nitrous oxide doing NOS balloons. Yeah, everyone was filming and everyone was into it. It was like getting high on possession. Yeah.
The short film that it's a friend of theirs that they've based this off. That film was like possession as a means of getting high.
Yeah.
That's sort of like the underlying premise.
Very much an allegory of addiction and drug use.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I also found at the start as well, when everyone was filming and everyone was jumping up, it reminded me of a TikTok challenge as well. It doesn't matter how crazy, how dangerous it is, as long as someone is filming and it's going to go on the platform and we're going to get hearts or likes or whatever, everyone was keen to do it. Is that fair to say?
People come to the party just to do this.
Yeah.
Like that was sort of the
intention.
Yeah.
So, do you think because Mia's in a morbid mood, that's why she attracts the spirit that she does?
Very possibly. It's certainly why she wanted to try it out. You know, I mean, as you said, anniversary of mother's death. She's got a little history of drug use, substance abuse. That's hinted at. We don't expect her to stay sober for this.
And she used to date Daniel as well.
That's right. She has a connection to Daniel, one of the other guys at the party. The other thing is that after her session is done, she goes, I think it's 91 to 93 seconds, I'm not too sure.
93.
She goes over.
She does
Go over. Hayley, played by Zoe, says, "Oh, this is the best one we've ever had," and I feel like that plays into it because she has had that very close brush to death that maybe the other kids, the other youth in the room have not.
Yep.
And like the door opens.
The door opens, the door slams. There's a lot more physicality to her possession than you see in the other clips. That I feel like plays into that. Yep, it's the anniversary. She's had that close brush with death, and she's able to let that in more willingly than maybe another child, another youth.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Because again, they don't say.
Well, no.
It's just theory.
And I can come up with so many theories about this movie.
Going into the performance of the kids as well, I really liked the fact that they were all very distinct from one another. I know they lampshaded it a bit for a story thing down the track, but having Daniel be a Christian, in inverted commas, or a little bit repressed, was really nice. But from a producer's standpoint, having the main character, the romantic boy in the film, be a Christian and repressed and not into having sex, it really stops them from having to do the sexy times bit in the film.
Oh, yeah. Well, look, they cover that in other areas, I'm sure.
Yeah.
As we're going to get into. From the wardrobing perspective as well.
Yeah.
Mia wears this yellow, bright, massive yellow, in a few different scenes, which is a very striking colour against not only her skin tone but her black underneath. Daniel often wears bright red.
Yep.
And her friend Jade often wears very muted pastel colours. So what you want to draw from that, I don't know, but it's it's an obvious choice that they've made with wardrobe.
Yeah.
I just wanted to touch on what you said with Mia and why she's more open, receptive to possession. The whole thing is a metaphor for letting grief go, because this is a grief-based horror, yes. It's just what we've got at the moment. Yeah, and A24, of course, Hereditary, probably the epitome of grief-based horror. And this certainly is grief-based horror. And the whole metaphor, I think, of holding the hand, but not being able to let go, not wanting to let go, and not wanting to let the death of her mother go, the spirit of her mother go. I think that's the central, metaphor
to physically
for it.
take the hand from her in that first scene.
Yes,
Very much of that.
And I think that's why, from theories aside, that's why they've given that to Mia, the main character, and used the hand as that central metaphor. If that's fair. Yeah. Where are we up to?
So that brings us nicely to the end of the first act.
I think so.
Yes.
The hand, they're all trying it out.
So Jade's little brother sits in on the session. He doesn't
Riley.
participate whatsoever. He does get spooked in that he's singled out at one point. The "they like you" kind of scene. He's scared, and later that night he does crawl into bed with Mia as a kind of comfort, bigger sister role.
Yep.
And she does open up a little bit to him about it felt amazing.
Yes.
It was it opening up that addictive feeling of release and relaxation.
I think she says, she's like, it's like being in the passenger seat. Like, you're watching everything you see, but it's like you're in the passenger seat. And she's talking about how amazing that is to not have to be, like, in the front seat, like, of her own brain. And that scene, like, although, like, you're like, oh, they're connecting, she's sharing, that's awesome. They have such a sweet relationship. It's also, like, that is terrifying.
Yeah, that is a huge indicator of trauma and
yes.
dealing with the grief perhaps in the best way.
And then you're like, oh, she wants to do this again.
Oh, yeah.
She wants to feel that again.
She says something like, you feel like you're glowing.
She's like, something along those lines, like an aura or something. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, spoilers.
This is not spoiler free whatsoever. Go see it. We've only gone through the first act now. Now is your chance. Go see it.
So that's the first night. Second night, Mia ecstatic over the feeling the hand brought her. Yes, it's very much like getting high. You're 100% correct. Along with Hayley, Joss, and Jade's boyfriend Daniel all gather at Jade's house the next night, where Riley volunteers to play the game. Yes, only to be possessed by Rhea's spirit, who attempts to reconcile with Mia. The time limit is exceeded, yes, as we've gone over, to 93 seconds. But this is where the first bit of real kind of horror brutality comes into play, because Riley wants to play, You know, they say, "Oh, you're just a kid," and all of that sort
He's
of
15.
thing. He's
Oh,
15.
they said you're not even 15.
Well, there you go. You're not even
Yeah.
50. He's a 14-year-old
Yeah,
child.
yeah. But of course, he sees all the big kids playing, so he wants to join in
And then
too.
he's heard Mia say, "Oh, it's so you feel amazing."
And it's also that peer pressure is set up beforehand with that scene in the skate park with his friend and the cigarettes. That big he doesn't play as much of a bully as I was thinking he was going to.
Yeah.
But there is that peer pressure that Riley is going through something, and that he's very easily swayed at that point in
And
time.
his friend goes like, "Oh, like, if there's sort of a moment there at the party where his friend's like, "Oh, I'll do it," and then they're like, "Oh, are you scared?" And he sort of like gives him a sort of comment.
What insult that they throw around, especially the bully friend. Sorry, I don't know his character name. He keeps calling Riley a fetus.
Yes,
I've heard that.
Jackyl, his name is.
Yeah.
I've heard that said out in the wild of children calling each other fetuses. It's very much the modern, like, "Oh, you're a wuss, you're a baby," but it's
Yeah.
something about the pronunciation and the viciousness of fetus really, like, I don't know, it cuts.
It kind of rang to me like a nickname that maybe he'd had for a while. Like he gave me the character gave me the feeling that he was always hanging out with his siblings and their older friends.
Yeah.
So he was the fetus.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it was a nickname that wasn't really well
Who really likes
telegraphed.
a
No,
nickname as a
yeah,
child?
true.
Especially if it's your friend calling you fetus all the time because you won't smoke a cigarette. Yeah.
Okay, so the time that is exceeded, and Riley's body is overtaken by the spirits. Yeah, and this scene, this was incredible. The chair moves, own accord, up against table.
He breaks through the window, he smashes into
That's
the
right.
window.
He smashes
And
Yeah, yeah.
swivels around to the
some of their stunt work.
To the
swivels
chest of
around to a
drawers.
sideboard or a chest
Yes.
of drawers. I think it might have even been like a drinks cabinet.
Yeah.
Not too sure.
Or an armoire.
An
Or a
armoire.
cupboard.
It was a very dark mahogany, which gives you it lets you know that it's something hard
Yeah.
and sturdy.
Yeah, the soundboard.
Oh, it sounded like he was hitting something hard. Yeah.
Teak or oak or
Yeah.
something, yeah.
Again, the sound playing into effect here, where it did not let up this entire
No.
sequence, and it was brutal.
It was
to watch.
hard to watch.
Brutal to listen to.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where that chair went because honestly, at that stage, that's when I could hear it.
So
again.
did you see him smashing?
Oh,
his head against
absolutely.
the
Oh,
table?
yeah. I saw, and I was watching parts because obviously I was like, this is so good. I don't want to miss this, like all of these like amazing effects that are happening. But
Okay, so did you catch him gouging his eyes out?
yes, I did see him pick that. Yeah, I did.
Mira at that point tries to grab his hands as he's trying to.
He's trying.
Very much, he opens
He
up
almost
his
gets the
and
eye
it
out.
just goes straight in. It's visceral.
As a performer, as someone that's done stunt work, and as a prop builder, I kept trying to see the seams, and I kept trying to see the edges and try to work out was he pulling his punch? Was it a foam cabinet? I couldn't see it. Like it was amazing.
That initial shot where he
The first one.
and
Oh.
goes back and the blood just starts to trickle down his face. Oh my god, beautiful cinema.
Yeah, no, the RackaRackas, they are very good at practical effects. They are obsessed with practical effects. They demand practical effects, which is what they used in this movie. A little bit of CGI integration that was used for possession scenes, moving the face around. But saying that, it was integrated because the actors put their all in going physically into those possession moments. Yeah.
They were talking about how sort of like invested and
Yes,
committed the cast was.
absolutely.
Even especially Riley, the young boy. His name's Joe Bird, I think, the actor. Yeah.
He's really good.
Yeah, really good.
Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, so the practical effects are there, and as we know with practical effects, I'm sure you guys would agree, it's more horrifying because it's more body horror, it's more organic. Oh, that could happen to our bodies.
There are certain ways that silicon imitates flesh when it's moved around, it's touched, it's stretched, that you just can't get with CGI. And
Yep.
Danny and Michael, they definitely believe that CGI should be used to enhance effects, like you said, with the possession, with like doing the coloration of the skin even, but it very much practical.
The only effect in the film that took me slightly out of it was one of the possessions. I think it was Mia's first possession. I could really clearly see the edges of the scleral shields they popped in for when her eyes went black. But other than that was the only effect that took me out of the film.
Okay, and
Yeah, oh, I know exactly what I'm looking for. Yeah.
Did you notice as the possession goes on, the sclera gets bigger? So
Yeah.
they're swapping
Yeah.
out the contacts to
Yeah.
get that bigger and bigger effect as well.
It was amazing.
Yeah. Little tiny details like that throughout the film really makes it that cohesive, terrifying environment.
It's so deliberate. Like that's this movie is like everything. They've thought about everything, but they don't need to like throw everything in there that they've thought about because it's all just there for it, like itself. Like it's so good.
And they're not talking about it in interviews. They're not talking about every single little detail. They want it to speak for itself, and honestly, it does a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah. They mention the hand, and it's about possession, and that's it.
Yeah, they're like it's up for interpretation. It's up for interpretation. Yeah.
Miranda Otto. They mentioned Miranda Otto.
Yes. Look who's sitting next to me.
Yeah. Totally believed that she was a grumpy parent.
She was so
How good was she?
the interrogation was like, "Are you going? Is there a party tonight?"
But then she goes to Riley, and she's like, "What time's the party tonight?" It's okay. No, Jay told me. It's okay. You can say. What time's the party? And then
The kids were good.
Yeah.
And she says that. She's like, "Oh, you're good." And then she walks off thinking that there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Sorry. We just hope that they can be safe.
No, Miranda Otto was amazing. I've loved her since I was in New Zealand, since I wasn't even in this country, and well before Lord of the Rings as well. She's always there's one called The Well, and the other one is called the Others something. They're two independent horror films that Miranda Otto was in that she did when she was younger, when she was just starting off. And they're very spooky, quiet, psychological numbers. I'll bring the titles back to the podcast. So I've loved her since then. And the moment that I really liked in this film for her is when Mia comes along to visit Riley in the hospital, and she says, "No, you're not coming anywhere near my son. He's bad. Yeah, he's real. Is he bad? Yeah, he's real fucking bad."
Yes.
Yeah.
And the obvious jump to conclusion, what did you give him?
Yes.
Yeah.
What did you give him?
You drugged him.
And if you come back, I am calling the police.
That was a real mother there. She was Australian without being cliched, and she was also a real mother. Yeah.
That's why this film was so sort of grueling, I guess, to watch for me. It was like everything felt so the stakes felt so realistic. The acting was so natural, and it just the relationships felt so real that when things went downhill, it felt very real and very oh god, this is awful.
But they never took it to a point where you couldn't go higher.
Exactly.
You didn't get stunted by, well, where are they going to go from here? They always left it just that tiny bit short so that they could build on it later.
And no cheesy jump scares either.
It would have been cheap.
Yeah.
It would have been too cheap for this concept.
And you also see how it's just changing the lives of everyone involved in this.
Yeah. As soon as Riley's head hits that, as soon as he goes over, I was like, shit. I was like, that's fucked. Everyone, all of these relationships have just imploded in this one moment, and everything is
I would also like to point out that in Mia's original scene where she is possessed for the first time, one of her lines says, "He's going to split you open."
Yeah.
He's going to split you.
I caught that, yeah.
And so, obviously, this scene, if you catch it, makes sense because whatever is possessing Riley is wanting to split him open, very viscerally, very physically. It was not meant as a spiritual threat. It was very much so.
Yes, because we can talk about this because that's basically where he is at the moment in hospital with his busted up face. Spiritually, he's in purgatory.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and purgatory in this film. It's not like a nice little waiting room, lovely little music playing, having a seltzer.
They try to phrase it with these spirits are just in purgatory, they're just out there wandering and we're just contacting them. It's no, they are being torn bit by bit in that purgatory realm.
Yes.
Now, we did skip something.
Oh.
Did we? What did we skip?
We skipped the dog.
I did. Oh.
No, it's all good. So before we get to Riley smashing his face open on various pieces of furniture, so there's kind of a montage of possession fun is what I've written here.
It really is. This movie's so weird because it's the worst, most horrific things, and then they just have these sort of moments of levity where you're just which is why it's so good.
It was light.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It was
It
light.
goes back to that original short film that they made where it was fun. it was funny.
Yeah.
You know, you have these awkward moments, especially with Daniel, where it just is fucking cringe to watch.
So he gets possessed, and I think in my theory is because he's repressed, he gets a horny spirit.
Oh, yeah.
So he's lying on the ground, he's simulating sexual ecstasy, and then the dog. What was the dog's real name again? Cupcake.
Cupcake.
Shout out to Cupcake, by the way.
She got slut-shamed in that movie so bad, that poor thing.
Cupcake comes over and they start French bulldog kissing.
Yes.
Oh, it's a lot.
She's a French bulldog.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Which is
Gorgeous,
probably
with a little pink bandana.
oh lovely.
Yes.
So we see that happening, which is one of the confronting scenes in the movie.
And again, special effects, that gruel that Daniel pulls away with all over his face.
It is, and that I had to look it up because I was like, I know that's not a real dog. I know they can't do that, but God, it looked like a real dog. It was a puppeteered dog head, which they like CG. That's one moment where they use CGI of a dog licking a plate. They sort of integrated those two things. Fun fact about that scene. Most of the cast and a lot of the main crew, so both the brothers, the director of photography, the producer of the movie, they all performed that scene in front of a camera. Like they all sort of did that scene in front of one another. And so when it came to shooting that scene for the actor, it was just like the embarrassment and the sort of humiliation.
It was just a Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly.
And they can also give tips to then the actor played Daniel to be able to say, look, mate, it's okay. Just get it at this angle.
Yeah. And a lot of the possessions, they did do like different people's possessions. And then that's sort of like a catalogue of the actors to look back through to be like, oh, this person did that. And that would be, and I just thought that was so,
That looks good.
being on that set, I think would have been so fun.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Then we got Mia gets possessed by the spirit of her mother, but is it really her mother?
Well, that's a big question.
That is
overall.
Yeah.
So I've put down here, great makeup, beautifully shot, self-violence scene. Riley tries to pull out his own eye. Whew.
Yeah. And what I really liked about this as well in terms of cinematography in concert with the sound is there was a lot of being shot half in shadow for those from the other side, if you will, the mother in particular. And so it was like a bleeding in between our reality and the other side. Yes, and then the sound, like there was the screams from Purgatory, and when the mother, I'm not sure if it carried on later on in the film, but there was like dripping water sounds when she was speaking and she was there. Yeah.
Which fuels my theory that it's not the mother. There was very much a...
I don't think it's the mother.
There was very much like those slime ASMRs where it makes that rolling, squelching noise as they sort of like, that scene where they're cuddling up in bed.
Yeah.
There was that rolled through the scene. There's other dripping noises that come from her mother throughout the movie that indicates that if she had... Can I talk about the mother's suicide?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, it goes from the start to the finish.
Yeah.
That's
So the whole thing is that the mother accidentally committed suicide by taking too many sleeping pills. That's what Mia thinks.
Yeah.
If you had taken sleeping pills, the wet noise does not make sense.
No, if you cut your wrists in a bath.
If you drown.
Yeah.
If you walk into the water. But that was the first indication that maybe this is not the spirit that we think it is.
Yes, that's so true. Because the sound, again, talking about the sound design, I think it was intentional. Like each different possession, each different spirit, the sound design in the background echoed how they died. So they were like little Easter eggs, I guess.
Different.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all different.
They were all different. Yes,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool. And the sound from Purgatory, how that bled out into reality once it stopped as well. That was very unnerving.
Once she had glimpsed that from the switcheroo that the little girl in the hospital room did, there was no going back. She continued to hear those hell screams throughout the rest of the movie.
Yes, very well put. Very well
beautiful
put.
integration.
Yeah, and won't spoil what Purgatory looks like, but yeah,
Oh, it's not good.
it's not good.
It's not fun.
I will not be visiting.
No.
Yeah.
0 out of 10 would not recommend.
Okay, so we've got the possession, we've got Riley at the hospital, Mia's visited Riley, Sue's told her to piss off, yes? And so, seeking comfort from Daniel, Mia and... sorry, ex
And
Daniel.
her best friend's boyfriend.
Best friend's boyfriend, yes. Mia invites him to sleep over because she's lonely.
So now we're seeing. So what we're seeing here is a repeat of the scene where Riley has crawled into bed with Mia. So it's you're expecting the same scene.
That's true.
Yes.
It's also, I found it a really telling scene about how people deal with grief and that they don't want to be alone. And you do selfish things when you are in that much pain.
Oh yeah.
Because you don't want to be alone and you will ruin other people's lives around you if you can just get some kind of reprieve, like you were saying, not being in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
To be fair, they did sleep head to tail.
Yeah.
But there is that scene where she's trying to cozy up to him. She's putting her arm against his leg, getting as close to him
Yeah.
as physically possible.
And it's like, I don't even see that. I don't even see that as necessarily like she's trying to instigate something. I think it's just like she genuinely needs that closeness. Like, and then again, she's having these visions of like she's, you know, she's been pulled in by these spirits like that are sort of stuck with her. So like obviously her motivations are not completely like pure, but like it's still like,
Especially after that possession.
you can feel for her. You're like, oh God, like this is such a complex situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then that possession where he turns to her and to the best friend Jade and says, you disgust him. He doesn't want you to touch him.
Yeah.
He feels sick by you. And he turns to Mia and starts making those awful moaning, licking noises.
Yeah. Yeah, like I was like, is he looking at Mia? Like, is the demon looking? That's what it felt like, yeah.
But then is that the spirit fucking with them, trying to cause that rift, trying to isolate Mia even further from her best friend? Or is that actually what Daniel felt?
Because Daniel says, like, they can get into your mind. They can sift through your thoughts is kind of a line that he has. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, what is it? And like, how many spirits are there? Is there one consistent spirit that is like trying to fuck with them? Yeah.
These demons are really nasty then.
Oh, yeah.
Because the thing is, this person's suffering trauma, going through grief, and just because they make wrong decisions doesn't make them a bad person. But if these nasties basically can go deep into your subconscious, and we've all got these thoughts somewhere, we just don't act on them. Yeah. But if they can basically manipulate you to act on them, this is beyond.
I mean, what else do they have? You know, if not to
fuck with the living.
Yeah, exactly.
On IMDb, they're listed as predatory spirit, which would be a cool credit to have.
That is a cool credit to have. You see, and I do have to bring up, I mean, when I was watching this film last night, I was thinking of the new Evil Dead Rises. Some of the colouring, the colorization, filter use, that sort of thing, is kind of reminiscent of it. But there's also this relationship with there's a family drama, and how that family drama plays out with a relationship and interaction with predatory spirits, like Deadites. And Evil Dead, and these freak me out even more. These predatory spirits in this movie, because the Deadites are just going to come to you and rip you to pieces before you know what's happening. And you did. Yeah.
No, they want to like torture these kids. Like they have no other, like that is all they want. Like that, I'm so sure that is all that they want to do.
One of my theories is that a sacrifice is made each time the hand picks a group or the hand is handed to a group. A sacrifice must be made to the hand because no one is letting go of the hand voluntarily.
Yeah.
Right? It comes to a conclusion of their cycle or their journey with the hand, and then it's passed on to a new possible sacrifice.
Like Jumanji.
Whoa! It's exactly like Jumanji.
Let's Disney maybe.
What was the other one? Was you talking about Jumanji?
Yeah, no, it's very much so actually.
Yeah.
The other thing is, if we're going by classic rules, is that spirits cannot harm or move or possess actually. So if we're going by that logic, which I honestly don't think we should, but if the predatory spirits is a really good label for them.
Yeah.
They're not just like, there's a person who died here and she sometimes watches me sleep.
That's really good because it's beyond spirits, but it's not. Because I wouldn't call them demons because they're not working.
No.
for a higher power with a shared goal.
No, they just seem to be in the nearby area and they get drawn to the hand.
They definitely have this like similar traits to a demon in like they're like depraved and like disgusting. That sort of
They don't quite, take it to your mother's cocks in hell, but like
No.
it gets pretty fucking
It's close.
Oh, it's towing the line for sure.
Well, I was going to say what we haven't talked about is the final
It's the
bit.
toe sucking.
Okay, Mia invites him to sleep over, but she... I want to say she assaults him after being possessed by a spirit. No, that's a bit going too far. Wikipedia there. Well, it's
I guess he doesn't want it to be happy. It's non-consensual for sure.
Consensual, but the scene is shot in such a way that you think that there's a spirit there because of the whole I'm not in the driving seat. I mean, a similar thing happens with the dad in a minute, where there's stuff that happens that seems to be really coincidentally timed with the real world.
Yes, I think that's where this part is sort of where you start to go like, what is real, what is not real, what like has things that we've seen not been like the truth of like what she is experiencing.
How reliable of a narrator is Mia?
Exactly, and you learn not very reliable. No.
But she doesn't need to be. Like that's not her purpose in this film either.
Oh yeah.
There was, in this scene here with Mia and Daniel in the bed, and she's trying the little snuggle, no twitch, or I'll sleep. I am joking, by the way. I'm making light of that. But what wasn't right was this weird demon creature that came into the room at this point of time, yes? A not attractive male, but intentionally so.
Oh, you read it was male?
I thought it was a.
Oh, did I say that as
an older woman?
Yeah, a middle-aged woman.
My
She was
apologies.
in sort of like a night, like a negligee.
Yeah.
I would go as far as saying probably 60.
Okay. I mean, that's by the by. That doesn't matter either way.
But
It's very interesting though that you read that as male.
I did.
The predatory sense is male.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Totally.
I now thinking back, I'm like, oh, that is the same spirit that we sort of see towards the end of the film.
more than once.
But that I thought that was like a grandpa type, but it probably is the same spirit that she's seeing.
Do we know what the spirit is? Do we have any impressions at this stage, or was it just another one?
I think it's just another.
We
Another
know
one?
that
Yeah.
someone singled Riley out.
Yeah.
We also, this is the first time that we see something happening without the hand being involved.
Yes.
This is the first instance that Mia
It's leaking.
has that interaction with a spirit or a predatory spirit outside of that ritual. So
Yes, because because we see this spirit, predatory spirit, sucking the toes of Daniel, but then there's
Violently.
violently.
Mia's perspective.
Yes. Thank you.
and then from Daniel's perspective, actually that.
But
is
no.
something-
It's a wake up, and then Daniel sees Mia.
Yeah.
Daniel doesn't see the spirit.
No,
Yeah,
but we see what's happening, which is interesting as well. When Daniel is possessed, we don't see him and the spirit that he sees. We do play with perspective in what we are seeing and what they are seeing quite a bit leading up to this point.
Yeah. And Mia's sucking on the toes. Daniel's like, excuse me.
It's almost like a Gen Z joke, right? Because like foot fetishes and online and weird kinky stuff is very much a joke to young kids, right?
Yeah.
You like feed.
It was very much. I almost felt like maybe it was a joke that was put out there. I'm like, no, let's put that in because that's sick.
Well,
But it is unsettling. Like like that spirit is going for it.
yes, absolutely.
There is, you're correct. No
It's
fear.
because it's not
No
sexual.
fear.
It's just
And there's this
it's
sort of-
invasive.
There's like this looking up, and then Mia's like, "Don't do that! Like, don't! What are you doing? Stop that!" And there's the spirit is sort of looking at her like, "I'm gonna like, I'm gonna do it!" Like, sort of eyeing her off, like egging her on almost. It's like
That particular spirit was played by an actress by the name of Kerry Reid, and in the credits is known as Hungry Woman.
You know what? That's great job, Terry.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
I could be wrong, based on credit history. So yeah.
Toe sucking, invasive. Yes, okay. Well, just as you were saying, they may have thrown it in there, but with the whole Gen Z thing, there was a case very recently that was going around all the podcasts, where a guy snuck into someone's motel room who worked there, and they woke up and found. I think it was he found him from memory serves, sucking on his toes in the middle of the night.
The hotel worker?
The hotel worker was sucking on one
The
of the
residents.
guests' toes in the middle of the night.
Like, obviously not great, but not the worst thing that could have been happening.
It's not the worst thing in the world, but you know.
It's in that middle where you're like, that is just so like off kilter that you're like,
You can tell that they're enjoying it.
Yeah.
They're into it.
Yeah.
They don't care if you are.
Yeah.
That's where the violation comes from. 'Cause,
Yes,
if
100%.
you're not into it, not sexual.
Yeah.
If they're into it, it becomes very sexual.
like
Yeah.
and the spirit is like stroking his leg, right? It's very, and the fact that it is Daniel, who's like we've learned is like a very repressed, very like
Yes.
conservative
Yes.
sort of
It's
kid.
very much also a perversion of the previous scene where it's very much a close up of his hairy leg, right?
Yes.
And she's getting
Yep.
so close to it in
Yeah.
a very almost tender way.
Yes.
And then that perversion of like her stroking the leg as she's got the foot in her mouth
That's
Yeah.
it's a great like juxtaposition of shots.
Yeah, and it's the demon fucking with both of them. Yeah, very much so. And it also is where Mia understands that these predatory spirits have followed her home. Yeah, hence why there's no arm needs to be involved. Okay, having secretly taken the embalmed hand from Jade's house, Mia uses it to contact Rhea.
By herself.
Was that?
Yeah.
By herself, she's alone.
And was it Haley who made the suggestion? I'm not sure, I may have been jumping around, that you may have gone over the 90 seconds.
Yes.
Yeah, so they didn't go
So-
back in.
Yeah, like Haley was like, oh, we went a few seconds over.
Yeah. Both Mia and Riley, the two who are most affected by these vengeful spirits.
Yeah, I think
Riley had the hand on for 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Yeah. So a lot of time
30
over.
seconds over, yes.
Yeah.
And he's only 14 as well. 'cause
And
they
yeah,
talk
he was
about
like, oh, I'll
the
only do it
physical
for 50
capacity
seconds
to,
until-
It is definitely the breaking of those boundaries, no matter how like inconsequential they are and how much the rules are very mercurial.
Yep.
The point is that you broke them. You set these rules, you
Yeah.
broke them, you bear the consequences of them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And that's how the spirits are really fucking with them, is that no,
Yeah,
you
sure.
set these
Sure.
and you're hungry for it. So
Yeah.
now it's your turn to bear that cost.
Yeah, I can give credits to that, absolutely.
So then we move to the hospital, I think.
They go to visit the brother.
We do have that scene with the mother when
Yes,
she
yes,
asks
Oh,
that's,
yeah.
what I have here. Mia uses the hand to contact Rhea, her mother, who tells her that her death was purely accidental.
she would never leave her.
It would never leave her because there was a couple of flashbacks. Mia's having, I'm not sure how exactly, but she's having memories, flashbacks of her interacting with her mother, how they very much got on. They were kind of
Yeah,
older.
she's watching her like Snapchat memories.
Yeah,
I think.
and they're kind of older, younger versions of each other.
Yeah.
You know, very
And they
much
obviously have a very close.
very close. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really sweet. They're making fun of each other. They're poking.
Yeah, they're like,
each other.
I'm the best. No, I'm the best. It's very.
Who's the most beautiful? Me. And then
Who's the
both saying-
funniest? Yeah,
It
it's.
was very cute.
Yeah.
Whether that was even the demon with the flashbacks going through and delving into the memories to see what's going to work the most.
Maybe.
We don't know.
Maybe.
So not demon, predatory spirit.
Maybe. And it's a bit of column A, column B, making things, alchemically collide. Her death was purely accidental, would never leave you, but that she needs to help Riley, who is evidently still possessed after he attacks Jade at the hospital and violently self-harms in front of her.
Really nice homage to Psycho there with the blood on the drain.
That was again
So much blood.
very
Yeah.
visceral, and he's slurping it up.
Oh yeah.
Really into it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I again
Against the
missed-
wall.
Yeah.
I missed some of it.
Oh, this was probably the most brutal.
I probably caught the blood going down the sink. I caught the initial slam on the tiles, and that was it for me.
But no, he was banging his head repeatedly against the wall.
Yeah, I can hear it.
The tiles and it coming through his hair and dropping down onto his face.
And the laughing.
The last
As he's licking his own skull blood.
The other thing is that he bites his sister very badly on her already like the damaged hand because she's trying to sort of wash some of the viscera off him, and he just goes down and bites into his thumb flesh, palm of her hand, and then later on we see that he has bite marks
All up his
over
arms,
him,
yeah.
where it goes back to where Jade has said, whenever he wakes up, he just tries to kill himself.
That's why the violence works really well, because it's really personal.
Yes.
It's
This
really
movie
personal.
It's extremely violent, but it is not needlessly violent.
No,
like, which I feel like a lot of like horror movies, again, going for that shock factor a lot in the recent years, but like this doesn't feel like that. Like it is scary and it wants to be scary, but it's not needlessly
It makes
violent.
you sit in it.
Yes.
So you can imagine this actually happening to you and your loved ones, you and yours.
Oh,
Yeah?
yeah.
Yeah.
Every time they show us something like that, it is like peeling off just a tiny bit more of that like wallpaper or paint just to see the mural underneath of the whole picture. We never actually see the whole picture.
No,
And that's actually brilliant.
love it. Love it.
Mia returns home where Max reveals that Ria's death was not accidental and reads her a suicide note that he had hidden from her to prevent her from blaming herself, causing Mia to retreat to her room where Ria's spirit tells her that Max is lying before she is attacked by a hallucination of Max. Max arrives just as the vision disappears and Mia inadvertently stabs her father in the neck with a pair of scissors.
Masterful switcheroo.
Oh yeah.
Masterful
Absolutely.
switcheroo.
Indiana Jones could not do it better. Honestly.
Yeah.
It
No.
was beautiful.
Because you saw it coming,
Oh yeah.
and then but when it's still,
because
still
the
when it
mum was
happened,
like,
you
"That's
still
not your
jump.
dad. That's not your dad out there.
Nothing
The
can
mother
explain it.
is feeding her these things, like she's planting the seeds to be like they are acting as other people that you love.
But this scene also goes to prove that the spirits lie.
Exactly, and then that's when you're like, this is this probably not her mother. Probably not her mother.
I do love a good scissors to the neck gag though.
Oh yeah.
It's such a nice little trick.
Scissors in any horror scene because it's such a obviously household item.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
so, and you're told from a very early age, like
Don't run with
screw
scissors.
them, don't do it because you can really hurt yourself. And weaponizing in that way straight to the judge.
And then there's the element of like, so Max obviously Max, her dad, is the one that found her mother and had to bash down the wall to get her mother when she committed suicide. And then there's this moment where he's banging on the door because he hears his daughter like wrestling with something, screaming, and he's banging on the door. So it's like obviously very traumatic for him to have to sort of relive that. And then he gets the door open and then immediately like scissors to the throat.
The one thing that
Yeah.
we actually haven't mentioned in relation to the mother is that they found it's something that's pictured on and on again with the mother's hands over Mia's shoulders is that she realized what was happening. She tried to get help and scratched the door, the wood
Yeah.
underneath the fingernail. So it's like layer upon layer of guilt is that she did this, it wasn't purposeful. No, it was purposeful, but then you have to realize that she realized what she did. She needed help. And she tried to get it by scratching at that door until the nail would.
Yeah, and Mia literally has visions that her hands are like becoming these like
How could you not?
caked in
How
blood,
could
and
you not?
it's heavy. It's heavy, and like you find out little bits and pieces like throughout, and you're like, oh.
But those hands also they play a big role in when it is supposed to be her mother. Those hands appearing over her shoulder with the wood underneath the nail.
You see that a bit.
Brilliant special effects, by the way.
Yeah, amazing.
Gives more gravity and weight to the cursed object being a hand for
Yeah.
Mia as well, yeah?
Yeah.
Whew, okay, this movie is heavy, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, now after being told by Ria that Riley needs to die in order to be set free, to be let loose from purgatory rather than eternally suffering.
Even though one of the rules set earlier in the film was the spirits slowly lose power.
Correct. And also, if you die with them in you, you're theirs forever.
Yeah.
This advice directly contradicts
Yeah.
the rules set previously.
Yeah.
I didn't really clock that until now, but yeah.
Which makes sense, well, like if one of them dies within the human, the mortal, they exist within the mortal forever, they basically come through into our plane.
But you're right, where they were talking about Duckett and Duckett's older brother, who was the one who bashed down the door. He
Yeah.
was saying, the longer that you stay without the hand, the lesser the hold has on you.
Yep.
Which again, it's allegory for addiction and addictive personalities, right?
100%.
And he said he says something like burn it or like get rid of it.
Yes. The suggestion to burn it or smash it is a very common theme in how to get rid of it.
And then Mia is like, let's take it to the hospital.
It depends. This all depends on the individuals, though. Yeah, because sometimes like they're strong enough for the spirits to go away, like they lose the hold. Yes, but then you can be people like Duckett, who like because he didn't need the hand, he'd been seeing the visions for a long time. That's why he stabbed his eye out.
Well, here's the thing: is that if you're doing it by yourself, how do you set the alarm and let go of the hand?
Yeah.
But he didn't even need the hand.
No.
He killed himself.
Well, neither did Mia in the end.
Neither does Mia in the end. Yes. And now we're up to the potential sacrifice of Riley, which your theory about that is very interesting because that makes sense why they need Riley dead. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and the mother's spirit thing is very much setting it up
Oh yeah. No. It's a perfect ruse.
throughout the thing.
Perfect okey doke.
Yeah. I mean, it is the easiest sacrifice for them to make. Riley's already possessed. He's in hospital. He's weakened, under sedation. It's going to be way easier to
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, after being told by Rhea that Riley needs to die in order to be set free, Mia tricks Jade and Sue into leaving the hospital and enters Riley's room, where he takes the appearance of a rotting spirit, but finds herself unable to kill him. Now, this is interesting, because this relates back to the
the
kangaroo on
kangaroo.
the road
Yeah.
at the beginning.
Well, we all knew that was coming back.
We see the kangaroo in the hallway, correct?
Yes, there's the kangaroo in the hallway at the end. Now, before this is like Riley wants Mia to end the kangaroo's misery because it was a hit and run with a roo, and but she can't. Just like she can't kill Riley here. I did hear one theory online because Riley can't move on. Riley can't let go of guilt from the mother's death, blaming herself.
Mia.
Mia. I can't let go of her mother's death, can't let go of the guilt, cannot move on. And symbolically, if she had killed the Roo, she would have been able to move on. But then she's killing Riley.
Yeah, maybe Riley is in the car with her, and Riley is sort of like, why didn't you just run over it? Why can't you just do it?
Yeah, very much like you can't leave it, it's in pain.
Yeah. I did write down a note, which was Chekhov's kangaroo.
Sure, I get you.
Yeah.
Gun instead of kangaroo. Or kangaroo instead of gun.
Sorry. Great comparison. Love it.
She brings the scissors with her
Yeah.
to the hospital
You
as
see
well.
her peeking
They're
out
in
her
her
back
pocket.
Just two little yellow loops. Oh, again, colour choice with the scissors. Yellow jacket, yellow scissors. I'm not saying the colour choices are very deliberate.
Yes, it's all been done on purpose.
Absolutely.
Okay. Jade, she's got Riley. Mia takes her towards a highway in a wheelchair. Takes him towards a highway in a wheelchair. Now the spirits attempt to convince Mia to push Riley. That was the mother, wasn't it? Yeah. There was
It's like the
right on top of the embankment going down into the
Again,
the motorway.
hands
It's
appear
the
over the
mother.
shoulders.
Yeah.
You're doing
Yeah.
the right thing. Doing the right
Yeah.
thing. I'm so proud of you.
yeah.
Actually, that answers a question that I had, which is why take the wheelchair? Because no, she needed to take the wheelchair so the spirits would let her do what she eventually would not know that what she was going to do is what she does.
Yeah. Well, and also she probably couldn't haul Riley.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she had made that decision until she was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. She could be in a complete dazed trance. Absolutely.
Yeah.
She does seem pretty out.
Or like
on the
maybe
stage.
what she did was not what she thought she was doing even. Like it's so warped at that point. You're like, what does she even want to do?
What's the process of thought here?
Yeah.
Or was there any thought?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Well, the thing is
Oh,
that
no.
she had a premeditated plan. But
Kangaroo.
the kangaroo
She couldn't
led
do
her
it.
down the
She
the
couldn't.
hallway.
But she couldn't do it. She
Yeah.
couldn't kill him. But yeah.
It's like because the kangaroo appears at the doorway in its hit
And she
form.
follows, and so
Yes.
she must be seeing the kangaroo like all the way up the highway, pretty much.
Because yes, the kangaroo stumbles up
Hopping over.
and the lurches up and then hops away and then she follows with Riley. Yes.
Also, the sound of the kangaroo,
It's wet.
and the sort of like crying. I think Riley calls it like, oh, it's crying, and it sort of sounds like what the spirits sound like a little bit, like the sort of like gravelly.
Yeah, there wasn't there?
Yeah. Again, the sound design is
Yeah.
yeah.
Very much so.
So Mia has Riley in the wheelchair, pushing him down the highway, following Spirit Kangaroo, the Kangaroo of Destiny, and
Skippy too, we're like a skipper.
up on an embankment, ready to push Riley off into oncoming traffic.
Yeah.
Mother Dearest whispering encouragement in the ear. But this is when it gets very interesting. Editing is very good to create the ambiguity in this film, because the spirits attempt to convince Mia to push Riley into oncoming traffic as Jade struggles behind to save her brother. A car is struck by what appears to be a body. Traffic comes to a halt, and we see a wounded Mia lying on the road.
See, I didn't see the body actually be hit,
Yeah.
which was the
No, you don't.
You just see the car sort of swerve.
Yeah.
Well, we're in the back seat of the car behind the truck that ends up hitting Mia, and they swerve off and they actually hit the side of the barrier, and
No.
they turn to each other going, "Are you
There's a thump,
Yeah.
and the console unit in the top in
That's
the
right,
roof of the car
falls
falls. So
down.
I'd say she lands on the top of the car.
She probably ricochets up off
Yeah,
the
yeah.
truck down onto their car.
Yeah.
Because their windscreen also shatters.
Yep.
And you see it from that perspective of like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, it's like that changing perspective of like you're in another and then you're in the back seat of their car when she's saying this thing is like being in a passenger seat. That's a fun little thing. I don't know. Surely it's intentional. Yeah, I feel like anything that these brothers do is intentional. Like I feel like they've I don't know. I don't know if that's something they'd be like but like I feel like it's like very deliberate.
But I mean, that's the thing with film is you have to be deliberate. Like everything that shows up on screen is intentional. Yeah, it's supposed to, like, you filmed it on purpose.
Yeah, you spent the money, the time, everything doing it. It may as well be that intentional.
Yeah.
There was something where Danny and Michael were saying that they were setting different cuts to other people. Like, does this work? Do you think it? And they couldn't tell the difference. But to the brothers,
Yeah.
every single little detail did actually.
Well, even like the sound designer was saying, like one of them, I don't know which brother, but when they were directing, they would be like, oh, that is just 1 decibel too loud. Like that's how specific they were. Like, and the other brother was saying like, oh, he's so annoying. But like that's how, exactly. And it works. Yeah.
So
Then we pan back to Mia.
Yes, an injured Mia is suddenly transported into the hospital, where she sees a fully healed Riley waking up with his family. She sees her father in the hallway ahead, but as she attempts to reach him, he leaves in an elevator. She is engulfed in darkness. She finds herself on the other side of the embalmed hand. So just to recap here, remember she's on the motorway, like in a position where she's been hit. Yeah.
She's got like great. Her face is great.
Yeah, and her leg is like
Her fingers.
She sits up on the highway and makes her way back.
Yeah.
It phases her into the hospital. That is where she is.
Yes, effectively.
And time is no longer linear for her. Time means nothing for her.
No, because this becomes all very non-linear is a good way to put it as well.
Yeah, like it's jumping.
Yeah,
Through
so-
Riley's recovery.
Yes.
Very poignantly, she's tied to them and she sees them walk out together holding each other.
Yeah, with Riley and her family. Riley is healed, sees father, attempts to reach. He goes into an elevator. She's engulfed in darkness.
Yeah, like the lights are turning off.
Yeah. She finds herself on the other side of the embalmed hand. So she's gone on through to the other side, the further crossed over, however you want to put it. Because, the crossing over, there was a little furtherish, it was a little insidious, actually, in terms of lighting and not very much light and, colour schemish. Yeah.
And it's like, sorry.
No, you go.
I was just saying, like, it's like all of the lights turn off and then you just have that one light.
It's very backlit. It's very Honeybee Trent Dalton cover, where it's the silhouette of her hair and her face.
I know what
with
you
the
mean.
yellow glow
Yes.
behind her.
Yeah.
And then she approaches and realizes that it's the seance.
Yes.
And then before that, we have that moment where her nightmare becomes real, where she sees herself, she's the mirror and she doesn't have a reflection, which is a nightmare that she's...
Is it Riley?
Yeah, Riley.
But now the odd thing with this scene is the other people that are in the scene with her, the other actors in the scene, they are credited as being Greek. So this means the hand is in Greece, or it's the other hand.
Or, Woolloongabba.
Oh, yeah, because they said,
the other hand.
Yeah.
I didn't even clock that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But then it's like, what period of time has...
Yeah, how long has passed?
This is one of my theories that I think I mentioned to Gina as soon as we got out, was that then denotes that all of the victims of the hand are the spirits that they contact.
yeah, it's like a cycle, right? And then again, you go back to that cycle of like trauma and grief and abuse and like that sort of thing.
So, it's Stranger in Greece, Young Man in Greece, and interestingly, Alex Philippou, Man in Greece. Uncle Mars, Man in Greece, Todd Gray, yeah.
The other thing as well is that you have to remember that everyone knows what the hand is, right? Duckett gives the hand to is it Joss?
Joss,
Joss and
yes.
Haley, and Haley and Joss know what it's about. These people in Greece, they know
Of course they
what
do.
it's about, and they continue to still want to fuck with it.
Yeah. Which is what I found interesting about this, because like, go back 20 years, even 10 years with this type of movie, everyone would be, oh no, do not touch that. It is a cursed object. We must put it with Annabelle in the room, da. But this is more like basically the attitude of like a bunch of people got it now. Let's fuck with it, film it. You see what that just did? I want to go. Boom,
Yeah, it
boom,
links
boom.
back to that sort of like culture of like mobile phone use and like teenagers use like perpetuating this like
The
thing.
Momo game, Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
Iteration-
Tripod,
It's the next
get
iteration
possessed,
in
have a
content
tripod,
creating.
plank.
Even the brothers in an interview like was like, yeah, I'd take the hand.
Yeah.
And I was like,
No. I thought
that's
this was,
crazy.
This was very much an effective Gen Z horror without being corny or
No, yeah.
demeaning or- yeah, absolutely.
because like I like obviously the filming and stuff was like it happened consistently, but I wasn't like, oh, they're trying to get it like Gen Z like social media culture. It didn't feel like that not at all preachy or anything like that.
Not in other movies where the phone screen, the chats, they play a very visual role in that they display it on the screen and the mobile phone plays into.
It becomes a visual element of the film.
It becomes a character in the film.
Yeah.
Yes, which I'm glad they didn't do with this.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Because then they're able to make a distinction between the technological creatures filming everything and then, yes, of a time before technology and beyond technology, powers that be, yeah?
Yeah, so when you're filming, especially with TikToks and stuff, if the light is too low, the flash does come on automatically.
Yeah, but what about your I'm really sounding old here, but what about your battery?
I think the
iPhones,
flashlight
mate.
thing was, the flashlight thing was intentional just to bring that sort of like
visual aid.
like viewership. Sort
All
of like,
eyes on, all eyes
Yeah.
on.
The flashing
Yeah.
red light would be in Hostel and Saw and all that, those classic, those ancient
Wow.
films in the 1900s.
Started in
They're still making Saw films.
Yes, 10's coming out soon. But yeah, no, I get you.
That ending scene.
Hold on, let me just finish up because we are right at the end of the plot. Then we can go nuts. Okay, she is engulfed in darkness. She finds herself on the other side of the embalmed hand, which means Mia has died.
Yep.
She walks
Death number 3.
Yep, there you go. She walks towards the hand, places hers on it, and gets summoned to a foreign party goers playing the game as her spirit takes the form of one of them when they say, "Talk to me." But does she let them in? Because we don't know, because that's the end of the movie.
The movie does end with them saying, in English, mind you.
Well,
I'll let you in.
the credits say Greece, so the man in Greece.
So they do speak Greek to each other, like when he says like "talk to me," and Mia appears looking very distressed, and they start talking to her in Greek very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And then he says, "No, say it."
Yeah.
He says, "I let you in English."
Yeah. So maybe that's part of the rules.
It might be it might be that they got it from an English speaker.
Yeah. And they told them that's what you got to say.
Souvenir from Australia. Why not?
Yeah.
Worst
Imagine
thing to take home from Australia.
not much worse.
It does have a different vibe to it. I like the way they've justified it, set it up that this thing can go anywhere because they'll just sell it on eBay. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not like from some mysterious toy maker has a cube. You have to go to Marrakesh.
I bought it in that strange shop that was between the bakery and the subway that's not there anymore.
Yeah, I think, again, a very deliberate choice not to have that sort of like expert figure that they like return to that like knows all the lore of this thing, and like suddenly that is all resolved and they're like, okay, we know everything about it.
Because nowadays this is how it would happen. This
Yeah.
is how a bunch of
Oh
people
yeah.
do it.
That's why it's so horrific.
They do it in a bunch of films. Like specifically, as I mentioned before, Gremlins. Like you've got that expert right at the very start of the film. Paranormal. No, that's wrong. Don't know about me.
Well, even you made a comparison with Jumanji. Even the borderless travels of Jumanji.
Yeah.
It still has rules. It's a game. It has rules written on the.
Welcome to Jumanji.
Yeah. If there are rules written on the hand, like you said before, if you're reading the rules from the hand, they're in lots of different languages.
Yeah.
Some of the script on it just says no, no, no.
I just imagined it as someone saying like writing their name, like Sarah was here, like that's what. Yeah. That's what it looks like.
So now I'm a big fan of cryptozoology and parapsychology.
Oh, yes, Delvin.
So this is the Baron's cryptopsychology corner. So I had a little bit of a think during this film. I've now put some notes down. So just for those people in the audience that aren't aware of what cryptozoology or parapsychology is, I've just got a very brief sentence on each. So cryptozoology is the search for and study of the unknown, legendary or extinct animals whose present existence is disputed or unsubstantiated, particularly those popular in folklore, such as Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, Yeti, Chupacabra, Mothman, Jersey Devil, or the Macaulay Makembe.
Yeah.
Now, parapsychology, on the other hand, is the study of alleged psychic phenomena and other paranormal claims, for example, those related to near-death experiences, synchronicity, apparitional experiences, etc. So I had a little bit of a think about the hand itself. I mean, not taking into account the predatory spirits and that sort of thing, but just the hand itself, which was the MacGuffin that gets us into the film. So so the rules are never longer than 90 seconds. Say, talk to me first, then I let you in. Light a candle to summon, blow out the candle to remove. The spirits lose their hold over time. So if we were to put this hand in the real world and give it the effects that it seems to have, so from what we understand, it's a dead hand inside, there's writing on the outside. So is it leaking a psychoactive substance? Is there like LSD coming out of this thing causing people to have visions? Now the drug element of that, like obviously there's the elation and the ecstasy afterwards. Does the whole ritual and the psychoactive substance, does it create some sort of hypnotic state in the person, which then causes them to self-harm or to attack other people, that sort of thing? So, I mean, obviously we know in the bounds of the film that it is a spiritual thing, but if it was in the real world, so do you have any sort of ideas of what you might think that it could do in the real world?
As like a physical being.
Yeah. So what do you think could cause it in reality?
What, like an extension of MK Ultra?
Yeah, sure.
Like a government-planted object to study the youth and has a tracking device inside of it so that they can track what groups of people are using at any one time. And the plaster, because it's never wet.
No.
When she reaches it for the first time, that ceramic noise that you hear her grasping the hand, it's dry.
Yeah.
It's always dry. So it would have to be a powder-like substance that rubs off on the hands.
And it's not shiny. It's not shiny. It's matte. It's porous. Yeah.
And the hands are very absorbed. Like when you touch things, you absorb it very easily through your hands and face. Like they're the two main ways. Yeah. So that's my theory. MK Ultra 2.0.
Yeah, I will basically piggyback off that MK Ultra 2.0. Because it changes people's attitudes, it changes people's personalities as well, not what just they do to each other, do to themselves physically in terms of harm. And I think like right words, right phrases, that you could either have, like you could have political extremists, yes, if they wanted to start up their own political party, extremist party, they could easily be, manipulating and subduing people into their campaign.
Out of this, Daniel's only going to become more Christian.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sure.
The fallout after that is that he's going to condemn this kind of behaviour and activity and go really more.
He's been spiritually radicalized.
Oh, absolutely. But you can see that happening, and that could very much happen as a campaign towards Christian morals and Christian values.
Or even like working that into like the law. Like if you were to like plant this thing sort of into like a teenage party where it gets passed around, like you could easily work into the story like something that just sort of hints at like whatever the agenda is, you know.
And because if it is something psychoactive, people are very suggestible under the influence of those.
Oh,
whether
yeah.
It is LSD,
Psilocybin.
Absolutely. You do become very suggestible by your peers and your environment around you.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm going to go away from LSD and go, is it just a powdered brick of cocaine or something? Right? It's matte. Maybe it's a bit powdery.
Yeah.
Maybe. Cocaine. It's more leaning towards fentanyl. To be affected by that via touch. Not that I know personally, it's just what I've heard. Yes, because fuck that shit.
Poison dart frog.
Yeah. Just, Hayley behind the scenes is just coating it with like a paintbrush of like toad venom
It's
afterwards.
entirely feasible.
Knowing Hayley, because Hayley is a very interesting character in that they are. They like the hand. Once you invite them in, they come in and they just desecrate the space. Like they're smoking in Jade's house and they flick the cigarette.
Yeah.
That was so disrespectful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just like when Daniel's like delete that video, like they're like no, they're like that's way too good. Exactly. Like it's so it's yeah.
Zoe, who played Hayley, who played Hayley, wanted to create one of those characters that we all knew at school. Bit of a bully, bit of a prick.
They're really cool.
So cool when they light the cigarette like with the hand, like it's like that scene. They lick their fingers. They put the
and you want to hang around them because you know they're an arsehole, but you got a bit of a crush on them, and you can't help it.
Absolutely.
The closer you are to them, the less likely you are to be bullied by them.
Absolutely. Joss probably doesn't cop it as bad as everyone else.
No.
Right?
Which I did as a small kid at school. I made friends with the bullies to protect myself, so I didn't get bullied anymore. I've said.
Strategy.
And Hayley nailed it. Yes, Zoe nailed it. Yes, I know that type. I've been with that type. Yeah. Now, so there's a lot of questions that are left unanswered, intentionally so. There's a lot of detail in the film to create a mythos, a rich texture to the whole thing. So it's very engaging, even though it's not a jump scare fest, high octane horror movie. No, this is a creepy slow burn, psychological, something for you to chew over. There's very much a vibe to it, which makes you sit in grief, but also sit in mystery, though, as well, which I really liked about it. But the question I ask you guys, because it's been left so ambiguous, so obscure, it's very the myth, the lore of the hand has been obscured intentionally so. I watched an interview this morning. Yes, Talk. It's getting a sequel by A24 called Talk Number 2 Me. I don't know if that's the best choice, but hey.
It's rough.
Yeah.
It is rough.
I was saying to you upstairs before that maybe they should have gone with I Let You In. As
Yeah,
the sequel
I like
title.
that way much more. But the question I asked to all of you now is for the second one, what they want to do is because they were asked, is there a lore, is there a mythos to the hand? And they said, yes, a bloody great big book of it we
they
wrote.
have like a Bible.
It's called the Mythology Book. And when we've got a sequel, so that's what we're doing for the sequel. We're doing the lore of the hand.
Well, apparently they have already shot a prequel, which is Duckett's story. Like they have that.
Ready to go.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a short film. I don't know the nature of what they've shot, but apparently they have like a prequel, like locked and loaded of Duckett's, like what happened to Duckett, like that.
Okay, I haven't heard that.
If this was a DVD, I mean, that would be great for bonus content.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I guess the question is, how do yous feel about them explaining the hand? This is the history, this is the lore, this is how it all works, if they do it in the second one.
I was really like, oh, I didn't know about a sequel. When I finished the movie, I was like, I don't know if this needs a sequel. And I already knew that a sequel had been greenlit. But knowing that it could be a prequel and knowing how strong they are about not wanting to like spoon feed the like mythology of the hand to audiences, I think that it could be not disappointing. Like I don't know how not disappointing, but I feel like there's potential for it to be like a really interesting sequel.
Like they're not going to Annabelle it.
Yeah.
Would you be disappointed if they do? Because that's what they were suggesting they were going to do in this interview, that they
I would be
explain the
I
law
would
of the
be
hand.
disappointed,
This is all about the hand in the next one.
Based on what I'm seeing based on what I saw in the first film, I guarantee you that they will answer a bunch of questions, and you will still have a bunch of questions by the end of the film.
They will only open up more cans.
Yeah,
of
there'll be
worms.
more cans of worms.
They're clever enough to do that.
Yeah.
They know how this works.
That's what I
They
think.
know
I
what
mean-
people like. Yeah.
I feel like I trust them, but then it's also like there's so many awful sequels that just like didn't need to happen.
Here's the thing: if they had gone with one of the big US distributors,
Yeah.
yes, that's exactly how it would turn out. They would Annabelle it, but because it's A24 and they have a lot more creative freedom in their contract,
Yeah.
maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. It remains to be seen. I know what you're saying. I mean, A24, they've got they're the quality company, if you will. You know what I mean? But saying that, this is what they're known. That's what they're known for. But they have done things like Bodies. You know what I mean? They have done real popcorn horror.
That
yeah?
was
I
pretty funny.
I'm gonna say it. I loved Bodies.
Yeah. No. So I'm not dissing.
Yeah.
Look, I mainly
But-
watched it for the Lee Pace, like full body shots, personally. But I enjoyed it.
Well, I guess it's a concern of mine if this becomes franchised, that there's more than one sequel, that basically it will lessen it, and it will become a standard popcorn horror, which is fine,
I
like
would-
Bodies.
I would agree.
That's
with
my
you,
fear.
But with the amount of detail that Danny and Michael did put, Danny and Michael did put into the editing and the revision, and they nitpicked frame by frame. If they were to let that ethos go, yes.
Yeah.
If they continue that kind of methodical go through bit by bit,
Yep.
maybe.
Well, I hope so, and I hope they're good at if they do it, they're good at explaining it and only give a little bit away.
I'm actually really surprised that they have an entire thing of mythology, because in one of their interviews, I have it written here, the hand only came in very late as a concept. In the entire script, it was only ever referenced as the possessed object. And they went through several different iterations of the shape of the hand, the position, that
These
kind
were
of thing.
earlier scripts, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The hand, though, only came onto set. It was only completed the morning of shooting.
Oh, wow.
The first scene with the hand.
Yeah, but that's standard with this sort of production.
That's just a
Absolutely.
prop, though. They could have
Absolutely.
written
Yeah.
beforehand.
Oh,
something
yeah.
and after.
But to have it not be a concrete thing from the beginning and then have all that lore, I'm kind of impressed.
I think these guys are creative maniacs as well. They're always working on something. I think they said they were ADHD or ADD, and they basically do this, making the movies, making the YouTube videos, wrestling each other, and they've been doing it since they are 9 years old, and now it's paying off for them.
Hyperfixation is a powerful motivator.
Yeah,
I will give it that
absolutely,
much.
absolutely.
As someone who does, yes.
Yeah. But other good news, just want to future news for the Talk to Me crew family there. What is her last name? Zoe what?
Tarakas.
Thank you. Zoe is now in Marvel, yeah?
Yes.
Zoe,
The Iron Heart.
thank you. You know the name.
I did.
Brilliant.
I did my
Yes.
research.
Now Zoe
Also.
Zoe is trans, and
Yes.
this is Marvel representing trans people in this. Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
yeah.
and so that is what they will be moving towards next, which is absolutely fantastic.
Speaking of that, in terms of Talk to Me, there's been this whole thing. This Kuwait, obviously the
Yeah, what's with that?
censorship of their films
Yes.
can be very heavily
Saudi
censored.
Arabia, a lot of countries.
Yeah, heavily censored. This movie has been banned not because of its content, but strictly because one of the cast members is a trans person. So because Zoe Tarakas is in the film, they have banned it.
This
In
is
Kuwait. That
Kuwait?
is the only in Kuwait.
They're
And
lost. They're lost.
exactly, and it's like
Fuck you, Kuwait.
and I'm wearing my Fuck Turfs shirt. I feel like it's appropriate. But this is a quote from Zoe Tarakas that I have here. Zoe Tarakas, because they were talking about the nature of this. Again, it's like it is not the content. It is not the themes of the film. That is the reason that it has been banned. It is literally them being in it. So they say their quote, and they post about it on Instagram, because obviously like you're getting that backlash. That's a huge thing. Obviously this project means a lot to them. But they said, "I'm not a theme, I'm a person. Kuwait has banned this film due to my identity alone. Reportedly, this is a first. This is a new precedent. So basically, what they're saying is like, a movie of this sort of caliber, like it's critically acclaimed. Like in the US, is huge. It has never happened where a film has been banned just because one of the cast members is queer or trans. Like that is like it's a first, and so it's like sort of a scary precedent.
They're drawing a line.
Yeah.
It's the wrong line.
Oh yeah.
And they do have a lot of sand.
They do have a lot of sand on the Gulf there.
But this film has a lot of fans
yeah.
who will be fuck you Kuwait.
Yeah, and it sucks because like their identity is like it's in the movie. It's not up. It's not in the discussion. It's not. They just are. Like they're just Haley. Like that is it, and that is why them being in this movie is so great.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
they have just happened to be cast in this film, and they are a trans masked person.
Every single main character is interesting. Like you were saying,
Yeah.
they differentiated each
Yeah.
of their personalities.
Yep.
They're all
It's so
independent
clear the cast
characters.
members are so invested and committed to it. Like and Danny and Michael are committed to the cast. Like it's
Yeah, no, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like,
So
the
it's
actors
just- yeah.
loved working with these two. I would love to work with you two.
it's just such a
And,
shame.
And,
Yeah.
and the movie was inclusive without being, hey, look at us.
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
being
It's not,
inclusive.
it doesn't become a
Yeah,
theme.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
it's just like
They didn't hang a hat on it at all. It was just this is just a person in a film.
Haley wasn't
that's
wearing
what-
a trans flag
No.
or even a fuck turfs shirt at some point. Haley was just Haley.
Yeah.
exactly. And it's just it's
And at this interview,
it's
Zoe
fucked.
Zoe didn't mention this until they asked them about
Yeah.
Marvel. Yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah. So Kuwait, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I've been thinking about ratings. Yes, I'm not going to do out of 10 or anything nonsense like that because this is Evil Popcorn. I've got 3 simple ratings, yes?
Yeah.
I've got buttery, salty, I'm not sure how to, like,
Buttery, salty, and
the,
gory.
the perfect pop.
the perfect pop.
Because that's, it's fully popped, nice salt, butter, however you have it, Yes, because everyone likes to add different amounts of salt, butter, or nothing, none. So the perfect pop. Flop corn. Now flop corn, it was on Urban Dictionary. I got a notification one day. And what flop corn is...
You have notifications set up for Urban Dictionary?
Yes, I do. I'm trying to stay hip with the kids. Now, flop corn is, your microwave popcorn in the bags. You put it in, you think you got the time right, and you're going in, and there's those little kernels that haven't popped at the bag, and they're at the bottom of the thing, at the bottom of your bowl. So good effort, but not quite there. That's category number 2. Yeah. Yeah, and then there's just burnt popcorn, and no one wants that. Throw it in the bin. Yeah, so those are the... Sorry?
Setting off the fire alarm.
Yeah, exactly.
In your
You're causing a ruckus.
Shame.
No
All the
good for
neighbours can
anyone.
smell your burnt popcorn.
So perfect pop, flop corn, or set off the fire alarm, throw it in the bin, get it out of here, it's burnt, Yeah. So we'll start. Baron, what do you give it?
Well, look, with only like a 1 to 3, it's certainly not set off the fire alarm. Flop corn is a funny word, but I don't see it as a flop. So I've got to put it somewhere between flop corn and the perfect pop. My only thing with it is that it's not a perfect pop, but it's really close. It's really close. Like low budget, didn't feel like low budget. Filmed in Australia, great. Performances were excellent, but I don't want to give the very first film we do out of the gate a perfect score. So there's still some room there. So so
You're at the movie.
so I go to the movies. So I've bought my Choc Top, I've got my diet soft drink of choice, and I've bought my medium popcorn. So going to the cinema, I'll eat my Choc Top first. I'll have some drink, and you get to the popcorn, and it's just the right temperature, and it's just the right amount of salt on it, and a little bit of that awful butter powder that they put on, not actual butter, but it's just for the butter taste. And that first bit of the popcorn's amazing. It's great, but then by the time you get down to the sort of the bottom half of it, it's gone a little bit cold and it's a little bit greasy. But it's that first bit was perfect. So it's kind of between perfect popcorn and flop corn for me.
I'm very happy to start off the season with a me to describe to you how my perfect pop goes.
Oh, good.
I'm also at the cinema.
Yep.
Fancy seeing you here.
Yeah.
And I get my popcorn, my artisanal popcorn, and it is a cinnamon sugar and chili flavour.
Oh.
Right? It's so tasty. You're eating it. But oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, my cinema is bougie. And as you eat it, the
Blue Room
the
Cinema.
heat builds, right? You're eating this popcorn, and it's so delicious, you just want more and more and more. But the heat builds and builds.
So it's
and
only a
builds and
light
builds.
chili?
A very light chili.
Yeah,
But by
okay.
the end of the movie,
Yeah.
you are scorching hot,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Your nerves are on fire. And again, we left the cinema absolutely speechless. By the end of this bucket of popcorn, you are just experienced so much. The endorphins are running. It is, for me, this is a very rare treat.
Ooh.
That's how I feel about Talk to Me.
Me? Look, that's my review's not going to be that artful, I don't think. But I would say, again, it's very close to a perfect pop. I think it deserves one, maybe, but for me personally, my experience watching this film, it's a perfect pop, but like if they just put a touch too much salt, and it's like there are just parts, like just it gets to the point where I'm struggling to eat it because it's so salty. It's how it feels. It just, it was punching me in the face with the salt. It was assaulting me.
It was deep throating your toe.
Yeah, yes it was. And it was just, it was a little bit, the popcorn, like I ate the whole thing. It was good popcorn, but it was a little bit too salty for me.
Your mouth sort of pays for it for days, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And Mr. Evil Popcorn himself.
Yeah, this gimmick's great. Okay, yep. It
It works
works.
really well, yeah, I love it.
Okay, yep. Yes, it's not bloody popcorn. There's another category I've left out there. That's when it's just like Evil Dead Rises would be a bloody popcorn. This is just a fun, freaky, fucked up fest. So that's a bloody popcorn. That's another category. So there's 4, but for me, this isn't quite perfect pop. It is damn close. Yeah. There's still a couple of little bits of flop corn that are left in. You know, there's 1 or 2 basically in a nice big bag, which was very buttery, salty, delicious. But there was a couple of moments where clunk on the teeth, clunk, not quite cooked properly there. Yeah. And what I think there's a couple of pieces of flop corn for me have to do with the lore. I am not wary, but will be paying close attention when it comes to a sequel, how they will treat the lore, whether this expands it and makes it one of the best franchises ever, because it has the potential to do that, or this just waters it down and sullies it, and one day the hand will be in space. We shall see.
With Ellen Ripley wielding it.
It's talk 10 me at that point.
It's Talk 10 Me. You know what I mean by space. Jason X, Hellraiser 4. Whenever a franchise goes to space, it's fucked.
Leprechaun went to space.
That's true.
The other thing that we take away from this popcorn metaphor is that the kernels that get stuck in your teeth are the thoughts of scenes that you'll have for days.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
always that one.
I definitely had popcorn in all of my teeth.
Yeah, I had to floss after this.
Can I say, I didn't get to sleep until like 3 a.m. the night I watched this. Like, it really, like, it... But it was good.
That's pretty good testimony. There you go.
There you go.
What are we going to do next?
What are we going to do next? We will come back and rewatch this on an Evil Popcorn conversation. For those who have seen them, you know what I mean. But we do need to think of something next. I'm keen to carry on the Australia tip.
I have a whole bunch of recommendations, actually, that I got from a couple of co-workers
All right.
who are really deep into the Australian horror.
Okay.
Can I go grab my list? Am I permitted to leave?
Why don't we do
Leave it
that
for later.
off?
Yeah, so there'll be another Australian film coming up next. So we're going to do a theme of Australian films.
Yes, absolutely. And horror, dark in general. Yes. Okay.
So Australia with Nicole Kidman and
That is horrifying. You're correct. Yes, absolutely.
It will be a theme of the podcast.
Woman follows man to a different continent and they
Yes.
fuck it up. Oh my god.
oh,
yes.
and is paid for by Screen Australia.
Yes, we will not be discussing Paul Hogan here. Now, Sarah, did you want to... Sorry. It's Cream Queen. Did you want to say anything to sign off, finish off?
Do you have anything to plug?
Yeah?
Oh, no. I don't. Not right now. Something's brewing, but I wouldn't say it's fully formed enough to mention it.
Nice.
So, there you go.
And obviously we're plugging Evilcorp.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are plugging Evilcorp. Thank you so much, Evilcorp. Yes, and there will be more Evilcorp on this podcast. Yes, I just have to get them to get in front of the camera, but I'm working on that, and they will.
You at Evilcorp, you pay to enter and you pray to leave.
Yes, Evilcorp is the haunted attraction horror maze. Yes,
Yes,
that we are
best
sitting in
ratings.
right now.
Best ratings on Google reviews, 4.9 stars, and our floors to our bar are not sticky.
Yeah.
In the maze, I can't say.
Do you have any final thoughts there, Jackyl?
Can't wait to see what we're going to do next. How we're going to traumatise ourselves more.
Baron?
I've got a couple of things to plug. I do a bit of performance work with two theatre companies in Brisbane. One is Improv Queensland, otherwise previously known as Impro Mafia, and the other one that I do some work with is Act React. So you can find them on the various socials. So yeah, if you want to come and see me in a play that is not necessarily horror themed, those would be the places to do it.
Fantastic, fantastic. And to follow us, yes, there is some content out there already. There is a YouTube channel, yes? So just YouTube, Evil Popcorn, Google, you'll find us. There are just 5 conversations. It's just me sitting down. Jackyl's been one of them, sitting down at our respective computers talking about whatever, yes? And it doesn't necessarily need to be horror or even dark. We talked about SummerSlam. Wrestling. So it can be whatever, so check those out. There's also Evil Popcorn at Facebook as well. I will expand out to other, other social media platforms. Just got those 5 videos and those 2 platforms up to start. And yes, this will be on YouTube and on Facebook and Instagram, TikTok. What's that? Spotify. Oh yeah, no, it's all, sorry. If you want to just listen, it's already on Spotify. And Podcast Addict, and I believe that goes out to a few.
Yeah.
Working on Apple. They can be arseholes, they can be annoying. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
We're going to cut that part out so they don't hear that though, right?
Oh, they already heard it. I got an iPhone.
So so that's where we're at in terms of promotion, content, and all that sort of thing. Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Yes. So this has been Evil Popcorn. Do not burn your popcorn and keep it buttery.
Pop you later.
Peace.